Compact crossovers are the most popular segment right now in the United States. Toyota dominates it with the RAV4, and Nissan has also been up there with the Rogue. But you've also got this guy, the Honda CR-V. Honda sells a boatload of these, and they've just facelifted the CR-V for the 2020 model year. Today we're going to find out if the CR-V is still competitive in the most highly contested segment in the automotive industry. Let's see what the 2020 Honda CR-V touring trim level is all about. So let's start off by checking the exterior of the CR-V, where we have this wonderful new shade. It's called Sonic Gray. I think you can get this on the Civic as well. I think if you're gonna get one of these, this is a great color to get because it makes it a little less boring than like a standard silver or black or whatever, but it's not too outlandish that people on the block are gonna be like, oh, well, look at Debbie and her new fancy car. Isn't she loud? I think it looks great. The facelift on the front end has worked wonders for the CR-V, which has always been kind of a boring looking car to me, but I love the way the LED headlights look. It almost looks like they could have come off an Acura, and it has this very chunky, chipmunk-like front end that I think looks a little more aggressive than before. Because we have the top touring trim level, we've got 19-inch wheels. I think those look really great as well, and they pair very well with this Sonic Gray color. We have kind of this body cladding down the side that I think looks better executed than on some RAV4s. I usually don't like body cladding here, but I think it works decently well with the Sonic Gray color. Coming around the back, the CR-V has always had this very tall, almost Volvo-esque taillight design, and they keep that here. I don't think that the back end of the CR-V looks very spectacular. I think it almost kind of looks like an Odyssey minivan. That's the one area where I think the RAV4 really outdoes the CR-V, because the RAV4 now looks really aggressive, almost kind of like a mini 4Runner with those squared wheel arches. This is just a little bit more dull, although I think the paint does help. We've got our CR-V logo here, all-wheel drive, letting us know that we have an all-wheel drive one, and here's our touring badge to let us know that we have the top trim. All right, so now that we've checked out the facelifted exterior of the Honda CR-V, let's go ahead and check out the interior, where the changes aren't as drastic, but there are some changes to be noted. We have the touring trim, which is the highest trim level of the CR-V, which means we have pretty much all of the bells and whistles that are available in a CR-V. We have this very nice leather steering wheel. I love the way this material feels. It feels very high quality. The buttons are not the highest of quality. They kind of feel like this faux glass plastic, but they're fine. I'm not going to complain about them too much at all. We have this dashboard, the center cluster display that looks very similar to what you'll find in a lot of other Honda vehicles. I just got out of a Civic Si and a Civic Type R a few weeks ago, and all of those accents are red. Here they're gray. Honda knows that this is definitely a more conservative customer here as well. Decent amount of information there, and I think it does look very futuristic, although I'm not sure this display is going to age well in about 10-15 years. It's going to look very of its time. Now we have this wood trim here on the dash. It's obviously not real wood, or at least I don't think it is, but it does at least look nice and premium. We also have soft touch materials pretty much all over the dash, some cheap materials as well. Again, this is not a luxury model, but I think that the cabin overall feels a little bit more premium than what you'll get in a RAV4. I could definitely imagine this having an Acura badge more than I could imagine a RAV4 having a Lexus badge, if that means anything to you. The seats are incredibly comfortable. We've got real leather seats here with a little bit of perforation. They are super comfy to sit in. I think these are actually more comfortable than what you'll get in a RAV4. The one thing I will say though is they are heated, but you cannot get ventilated front seats in this car, nor can you get heated rear seats, and we're going to start to see that a little bit more as I start to talk about what we have in here. The RAV4 can come with more features than what you get in the CR-V. You do have to pay for them though. A CR-V pretty much tops out. This one you see here with all-wheel drive touring is about $34,750, and there's really no options that you have to add to it on top of that. A RAV4 can definitely encroach upon $40,000, so although the RAV4 has more features, you're paying for them. So you really have to decide whether or not that's worth the money to you. We do have a sunroof, but again, no panoramic roof like you can get on the RAV4. Same with the reversing camera. We have our standard reversing camera. It does have a few decent angles. I can zoom in here so I can get really close up to a wall there, but no 360-degree camera like you can get on a RAV4. We do have automatic climate control. We've got our brake hold, electronic parking brake, our stop, start, defeat there. We've got our standard 7-inch infotainment system, which again, I don't love this infotainment system. If you've watched any of my recent Honda videos, it's just a little bit laggy to respond to things. So if I go ahead and click on my map, you see it wasn't quite instant to get there. Audio, there it goes. Let's go ahead and shut that off for copyright purposes. Back to home. It's just a little laggy. It's not terrible, and it does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. I just prefer Toyota's infotainment suite a little bit more. We also have a wireless charger down here on the center console. That's very nice as well. Very convenient placement for that. 2 cup holders. And then the thing that Honda has changed significantly on this 2020 model CR-V is this center console area. This is highly configurable. I love this. I've got this sliding armrest. I love an armrest that slides very conveniently to get to the shifter here. I can slide that back now, lift it up, and now I have this huge area with this sliding flat surface. I can pull this tray back, and now I have even deeper storage down there. And if I want to get even more storage, I can flip this up, and now I have a huge amount of area. Let's just say you have a big purse or a bag or something, or cooler that you want to stick in here. It will fit in here really easily. So this is a very smart innovation from Honda in the center console. Back here, your legroom is fantastic. We've got just over 40 inches of legroom, which is much bigger than what you get in a Toyota RAV4. The seats, just like the front, are really soft and very comfortable back here. I really do like this back seat as well. We also have 2 USB chargers here and air vents as well to keep us cool. And in the cargo hold, we're gonna have a very similar story in terms of space. And back here, the CR-V excels as a cargo hauler. We have a power lift gate because, of course, we have the fully loaded touring trim. Now back here, you're going to get about 39.2 cubic feet of storage, which is just slightly bigger than the Toyota RAV4. So really nice amount of storage back here. We even have a spare tire underneath. And the thing that I really love about the CR-V compared to a RAV4 is that you can fold the second row seats from the second row if you open up the rear doors, or you can pull these tabs and it'll automatically drop down the seats. Now that's going to give you 75.8 cubic feet of storage, which is absolutely massive. I actually used the CR-V to help me move. I had this and a pickup truck, and it was very helpful when moving big boxes that I didn't necessarily want to put in the pickup truck bed. All right, so let's get the CR-V out on the road, where the big story is the 2.4 liter base 4-cylinder engine is gone from the lineup, which means you only have one engine choice on the regular CR-V. Of course, there's obviously a hybrid model as well, but the engine that I have is the 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder Earth Dreams engine. Now, you can get a variant of this engine in a few different Hondas, including the Civic and the Accord. Even the Civic Si has a version of this engine. Here it produces 190 horsepower and 179 pound-feet of torque, which are reasonable numbers for this segment. They're not the best, but they're not the worst either. And the only transmission that you can mate that to is a continuously variable transmission. And I will say that Honda has been doing very well with these continuously variable transmissions. If I give it a burst of power, I get instant response from the CVT. It automatically goes to the right ratio. And I feel like this CVT does a very good job of not feeling groany or whiny, or like it's just picking one ratio and sticking there. So a very nice transmission mated with this engine. I really like this engine as well. It's very smooth, it's very gutsy, and it stays quiet. I think when we're referring to gas-only powertrains and not talking about the hybrids, I greatly prefer this engine and gearbox to the base powertrain you're going to get in a Toyota RAV4, which is a 2.5-liter normally aspirated 4-cylinder with an 8-speed auto. And now I know a lot of people on the internet are going to say, oh, well, I bet you that 8-speed auto is probably pretty great, right? You know, because it's an automatic and not a CVT. Well, actually, I think that the CVT is actually the better option between these two cars. Now, the CVT can route power to the front wheels, which is what we have here, or you can get all-wheel drive as well. Now, the all-wheel drive is going to hurt your fuel economy just slightly. With front-wheel drive, you're going to get 28 in the city, 34 on the highway, and 30 combined. That's very good numbers. You're going to lose about 1 or 2 on each, 27 mpg in the city, 32 on the highway, and 29 combined if you get the all-wheel drive. And 0 to 60, if you care, is about 7.5 seconds, which this car doesn't feel very fast. It's not supposed to be. This is just your everyday commuter. It gets you up to speed adequately and without fuss. I feel like this car has plenty of power and plenty of torque to get on the highway without feeling like you're in a sluggish car or like you're impeding traffic, but not so much as to feel sporty. And there aren't too many things you can do in terms of drive modes. I've got an econ mode here, this little econ mode on the dash. Basically, all that's going to do is dial back your throttle response just a little bit. When you are driving economically, you do get like a little green light above the dash here, letting you know that you're driving the car well. You also have an S mode on the shifter here past D, and all that's really going to do is tell the CVT to drop ratios a little sooner when accelerating, so nothing too drastic in terms of drive modes here. We also have stop start defeat in case you don't like how stop start works. I do think that stop start is a lot better when you have a hybrid model of this car, which of course the CR-V is now available as a hybrid. And the good thing about all Hondas now, they're starting to get Honda Sensing, which is Honda's safety suite of technologies, and the CR-V has plenty of them. We've got collision mitigation braking with forward collision warning, pedestrian sensing capability, road departure mitigation, low speed departure warning, adaptive cruise control with low speed warning. All of those things come as standard, lane keep assist as well. And we have a couple of options as well because we have the top touring trim, so I do have blind spot monitoring on this vehicle as well. And the ride is very good. I think this is actually a little quieter than a RAV4, so if you're doing a lot of highway driving, I think I do prefer this a little bit. The ride is about on par with RAV4, maybe a little quieter, a little softer, and the steering is really good as well. The steering is very light, very maneuverable, but also has that Honda directness that just gives you just the slightest bit of enjoyment. This is not meant to be a sporty vehicle at all, but Honda always makes sure that no matter what, their steering isn't boring and lackadaisical. It always has some sort of edge to it. So I really do enjoy driving the CR-V, and I'm really glad I've had a chance to finally drive this new regular CR-V with the new turbocharged engine. I don't love the hybrid version of this car as much as I love Toyota's hybrid. So I think if you're buying hybrids, I think the RAV4 is the better way to go. But if you do not want a hybrid, I think that the CR-V with this new turbocharged engine is better than the gas-only RAV4. So that was the 2020 Honda CR-V. Pricing starts at about $25,000. This touring trim level with all-wheel drive that you see here is about $34,700. I would actually step down one trim level to the EXL. I think that's going to be your best value. It's going to save you about $3,000 compared to this fully loaded touring trim. Now, the CR-V, I love the updates that they've made to it. I think the 1.5-liter turbo engine pairs super well with that CVT transmission, and I would definitely recommend the CR-V over the base RAV4 if you're looking at the non-hybrid options. If you're looking at hybrids, I still think the RAV4 is a little better than Honda's hybrid system. Now, there is going to be an all-new Nissan Rogue later this year that's going to throw a monkey wrench into the whole CR-V versus RAV4 equation, but at least for now, I would recommend the regular CR-V over the regular RAV4. We really hope you've enjoyed this review of the 2020 Honda CR-V. For more information about this car, there's a link in the description below. That'll take you over to carbuzz.com where you can learn more about the Honda CR-V. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. We hope you've enjoyed this one. I'll see you next time.